allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission of the Buckeye Local School District is to empower students to excel in a highly competitive society. Meeting agenda statement. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Approval of minutes. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the minutes for the regular meeting of October 8th, 2019, and the special meeting of October 28th, 2019. A motion, please. Second. Any questions or comments on the minutes? Roll call.
Yes.
Archie? Yes. Stahl?
Yes.
Marco?
Yes.
Yes. The following are recommendations that have been identified for approval as part of the consent agenda for this meeting. If a board member wishes to remove any item from this agenda for further discussion prior to taking action, please let either the superintendent or the board president know. Approval of the consent agenda. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the consent agenda of November 19, 2019 as presented. I'll entertain a motion. Second. Any comments? Roll call.
Archie?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Manson?
Yes.
Marco?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes. Mr. Morgan, special guest.
Yes, thank you. Our first guest this evening is Chris Collini. He's with the Medina County Career Center. Chris is a wonderful, knowledgeable person that promotes our Medina County Career Center, which partners with Buckeye local schools and other county schools. They have outstanding programs that are available to our students, and Chris has some great information to share about what that institution provides for our county. Thank you, Chris.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here. I have to start off by telling you that, gosh, I was starting to feel a little old here because as I was sitting down there, I'm talking to one of our graduates, and I thought maybe he graduated in, 2013, and he shared with me he graduated in 2003 from Medina County Career Center. So, yes, I've been there for 2 decades, and when I walked in the room, Gail Telford was who when I worked with Buckeye at the time was Gail White, going back into the 1990s, and so she gave me a hug when she walked in, and she is still with the district, which is exciting. Prior to joining the Medina County Career Center, I was actually the executive director of the Medina County Drug Abuse Commission, and partnered with Buckeye schools and of course your staff to provide some of the programming that is still carrying on here. So that's very exciting to see that the good work is still happening that we've been involved with. So I've been involved with the school district for many, many years, and instead of feeling old, I'm going to feel very honored to have had the experiences. I've also worn a lot of hats in the Medina County Career Center over the past 2 decades. I worked with the middle school here, and my wife was actually employed at the middle school as well at one point in her career. Back in the 1990s when there were separate elementary buildings, back in the old Liverpool, going back. I did career development for the Medina County Career Center. I worked with the middle school staff, providing some career exploration activities for some of the youngsters, and also worked with your special needs staff during another role that I have at the Career Center. And currently I'm the Associate School Liaison. So I work with all of our school districts. And I'm going to try really hard. I didn't think there would be this many little kids here. I'm going to try really hard to make this as exciting as I can, because sometimes statistics can be boring. So what I'm really providing the board here is information I provide to our school board on an annual basis, and it is our senior survey results. So from a relevancy standpoint, it's extremely relevant to Buckeye because Buckeye students make up about 15% of our population at the Medina County Career Center. And I'm like a data nerd, so I love this stuff. One of my master's degrees is actually in data analysis and statistics, so I like doing this every year with our students and finding out kind of what made them tick, what we did really well at the Career Center, and certainly what we can do better. But from a statistical significance standpoint, we can say that the sample population of our Buckeye students certainly represents the statistics I'm going to provide you with this evening, and I'll try to make it as entertaining as quick as I can because I know data puts people to sleep. And it's already 7 o'clock at night. So,
Mrs. Doty has it.
well, it's all loaded in here, I believe.
It is. No. Amy, just give them the remote. It's in there.
It's right within this.
It's in the program.
Same one.
If not, this will be a real quick presentation. That is it. And which clicker? Oh, that's so easy. I'm actually going to be back here in like 48 hours because we're meeting with the entire sophomore class, which we do every year. So I will be back here. We'll be setting our stuff up. So this is like a little preview for me before I have the opportunity to do that. The reason that we do a senior survey is quite simple. We're looking for information from our students. For me, it's actually a little bit more personal because I like to find out what influenced their decision to come to our school. Just helps us find out what things are important to them. As far as our district is concerned, we not only look at their satisfaction levels of different aspects of what we do at the Career Center, but we look at their satisfaction with our facility and certainly ways that we can continue to improve the services that we are providing. So we're looking at the school environment, our product, and certainly, most importantly, is their attainment of goals moving forward. Demographically, we all know that Medina County is not an overly diverse community. However, the Medina County Career Center is more diverse than the county, and I think that just shows the welcoming environment that we have. As far as our outreach activities, I told you that in the past I've worked with middle school. We continue to work with the middle school population here at Buckeye Middle School, and we provide 7th grade career exploration activities. We do 8th grade exploration activities for students to provide them an opportunity to come to our school and see what we do at the Career Center. See what some of these career fields actually look like. And when you walk into our building, if anybody has not been there, if you haven't been there in the past 10 years, you won't recognize our school. We spend over $1 million every single year on improvements. It is completely state-of-the-art, and it is incredible. You will be blown away if you walk through the building. I love being there. Obviously, I've been there for 20 years now, and love going to school every day. It's very, very exciting. So we do a lot of outreach. I like to know how many of our students in our building actually participate in those things, and as you can see, it's over 90%. So a lot of students we have reached out to before they make the decision to come to our school. I also like to find out what was the impact of those activities. So which one was most important to them? Certainly it's our high school activities. We allow 10th grade students in collaboration with Buckeye the opportunity to come spend a whole day with us and see what it's like at the Medina County Career Center. Students tell us that that is the most important decision factor for them, is seeing what an actual school day is like. In addition to that, we have open house that we offer, and that is available to anybody. We do that last Thursday of last Thursday in January every single year. Mark your calendar, come see us, walk through the building. You're welcome to bring your little ones through there. They'll be amazed as well. Lots of cool stuff going on, and if anything, we have some really cool animals that they can pet and see too. So that's a good draw to come in. Open house numbers are a little bit lower, and the reason is because of technology. We're now taking applications online, kind of like everybody else is, so not really surprising. I've changed this statistically over the years to really look at this new population, the new generation that we have, Generation Z. They're the post-millennial generation, and what makes them tick is a little bit different. And so one of the questions that I added in here was, did you decide yourself to make the decision to come to the Medina County Career Center? And it turned out, surprisingly, that the majority of students feel they made that decision. I will tell you that previously with the millennial population, as I've done this survey for now 19 years, I asked them, it was always parents. Parents were always number one, parents were the deciding factor, and now more students feel that they're making that choice themselves about what direction that they're going to go in educationally. And of course, students today have more choices than we could have ever imagined when we were in high school, for those of you that are my age, because there's just a lot of options out there for a student's education, and they feel that they are making that choice themselves. As we move down, I think that's just kind of just to share with you, I think that's just this population. That is this individual population who feels that themselves, their parents, their friends are influencing them more than I am as Mr. Colina, as a teacher, or the staff here. That's just kind of a testament to kind of what makes this population tick. And that's, of course, it shows up in our results. When we talk about safety, the reason I asked about safety is quite simply, we have a unique environment in the Medina County Career Center. Our school is open to the public. We have a restaurant. Our restaurant's open Wednesday through Friday. You can eat there anytime from 10:30 until 1 o'clock. That's my little commercial. We also have a full-service salon, and I'm due for a haircut. But we have a lot of services there, so our building is open to the public. It's unlike any other school. So we want to know, do the students feel safe in that environment? And I'm proud to say that the measures that we have in place, our students do feel very, very safe in the environment. We also like to know if they're prepared to move on. How much do we prepare them for college and career? And overall, our students are walking out feeling very well prepared. How important is technology? We ask that because we consider ourselves to be the technology leaders. And so we want to know how important technology is to students. Of course, it appears the technology to this generation is extremely important, right? We know that. So the next question, obviously, is are we meeting their technological expectations? And the answer is very good. We're doing a great job with that, meeting their expectations. And I put this in here as a joke, but I always really like to know if a student feels never, I can drill down and find out, kind of why did they feel that way? What can we do to improve that if we weren't meeting it? And when you ask a high school kid a question, sometimes they take things from a little bit literal standpoint that we might as adults. And the student was not satisfied because they felt that our acceptable use policy requires you to sell your soul to use it. So I will tell you that I asked our technology department about that, and they assured me that it's not a clause to go online at the Medina County Career Center. You don't have to do that, which is good. The next question that I ask is, what's most important to you as a student that came to our school? Now, I would logically think that it is the fact that we have career technical classes. We're a career technical high school. We offer 26 different career majors. You would think that would easily be the most important thing. But there's a lot more that goes into a student's decision coming to our school. Here at Buckeye, a lot of people don't know there's actually 2 high schools in the Buckeye district. We're the other one. We're located in the Buckeye School District. So is maybe still participating with things here at Buckeye Local Schools important for our students? Is that maybe the most important thing? Or is it being involved with activities on our campus as a career center? Maybe that's very important to the students. Maybe it's academics. Could be a number of things. So I ask the students this question every year, and I've watched this continue to transition, which I think is just fascinating. And in fact, hopefully about 66% of our students feel that their career technical program was the most important thing. And what continues to increase are associate school activities. And so now we have about 12% of our population who says that being involved with things here at Buckeye High School was more important to them than really even having the opportunity to take a career technical class. They want that linkage. And I will tell you, in all honesty, that we have an outstanding relationship with the entire administrative team here at the high school, that they support students, they support students' choices. The staff, the guidance staff, Amanda and Jen, are 2 of the best in Medina County, and they also support students, and they help us do a lot of collaborative things with students, so students can participate in things here at high school, whether that's academics, that perhaps we might not have that are offered here, and certainly regarding things like band and sports and clubs and activities like that. They do a great job keeping the students part of the school district. So I can't thank everybody enough for doing that. It just gives students more opportunities to take advantage of all the things that are available today. So I just think that's some neat data that career technical is not the most important thing. There's a lot more that goes into it. than that. As far as their choices, I asked them 2 different questions. And the reason I do is because we're career technical high school, but we also teach academics at the Career Center, and 85% of our students are there full day. So most of the students choose to be on our campus all day. They can fit extra class in typically, and we teach a lot of the same classes today, AP classes, honors classes, we have a number of CCP classes, so we have a lot of those academics that are available to students as well, so they can take advantage of it. And were they satisfied? Yes. Over 94% of our students were satisfied with their academics at the Career Center. Instructional satisfaction, were they satisfied with the instruction that they received? 94% were satisfied with that as well. And then the next question, obviously, is were they satisfied with their program? Now, interestingly enough, you would just think that if a student is in a career technical program for 2.5 hours a day, and let's say they want to be a firefighter, for example, they're going to probably love that more than anything else. And certainly, from a strength standpoint, yes, you can see how many students absolutely love their program, and it is, in fact, over 92% are satisfied with that. In terms of post-secondary directions, this is something that we look at as a school district to see where our students are going. Medina County is filled with high-achieving students. Buckeye is no exception to that rule, and we have well over 80% of the students who graduate from the Medina County Career Center who are pursuing post-secondary pathways. They're going in all the same directions as other students are. I think the big difference is, and which I point out in the survey here, is that our students also work. We see a lot of students that take advantage of that. My son's a prime example. My son graduated from the Career Center last year. He took our public safety program. He walked out the door of the Medina County Career Center with both his fire certification, he's a professional firefighter, his Fire 2 certification, his EMT certification, so he's a professional emergency medical technician. He's already hired at Hinckley's Fire Department, and he is going to Notre Dame College so that he can get his nursing degree as well. He's directly admitted into their BSN program, and we have a fire nurse who's in the audience with us, who's also doing what my son wants to do, which is work in the emergency room and serve his local community as well. So we have a lot of students that do that at the Career Center because, quite frankly, they get certifications that make them employable and they can work while they're in college. So we see a lot of students do it. In terms of scholarships, this number I believe is slightly low. We have about 40% of our students who walk out of the Medina County Career Center with scholarships and earning college credits. And the reason I think that's low is because my own son, for example, did not get he ended up with a full ride, which yes, yay, dad, excitement. He went to, like I said, chose Notre Dame College, was directly admitted into their BSN program on their campus. And Medical Mutual is paying for his room and board for the next 4 years. And Notre Dame College is picking up the remainder. And of course, the question might be, why did Medical Mutual do that? He is a really good student academically, so a very bright student. But in addition to that, he's the only student going into their pre-med programs that was an EMT. So it was an easy decision for them. He had medical certifications that our students didn't have, and they know that that's a pretty easy one. If you're going to give your money to somebody, this kid's probably going to be around for the next 4 years. He's going to make it to the finish line. So they picked, he didn't apply, they selected the student. We were excited he was chosen. So a little bragging from Dad. And my youngest is there too. We'll see. He's doing a great job at Career Center. And top 3 reasons to attend the Medina County Career Center. Why do our students come there? They want to get a jump start on their college and career. My son got 18 hours of college credit in his major, graduated 56. So that's certainly both ways there. Better opportunities. We have different opportunities. And that's reflected in our survey. And then learning about a career field. Is this going to be a good fit? I'll tell you, my sophomore student, my 6'8" basketball playing sophomore student would have never said, I want to be a nurse. By coming to the Career Center, he figured that out. Like all of our students, he did his clinicals at the Cleveland Clinic in the emergency room and found something he fell in love with. So a lot of students get to learn about career fields on our campus. Top 3 likes, what do they like the most? They like us. We're great staff at Career Center. So we're number 1. Their lab, of course, they get to do that for 2.5 hours. We call it their lab. It's their programs, their first technical major. There's a lot of things you can call it. And, it is, again, this generation. What's the third most important thing? It's friendships, having those relationships with people. We just see that more and more with this generation of students. So you got a whole bunch of them here in the audience that are heading that way. Top recommended changes. Number 1, Are you going to change the career center? Hey, I wouldn't change anything. I'm high school kids to tell you that, so that's pretty good. 34% said that. And the next one is anybody who lives on Stone Road. If you live around that school, I apologize at 210 every day. But you know, they say y'all need to take a minute and look at the parking lot situation. I don't edit the results. I don't edit what they say. That's right out of their words. So I'll be honest with you, I don't think that was probably a Buckeye student. My guess would be that might be somebody from more the southern part of our county. That's just a guess. Last two questions I asked our students are you satisfied with your decision to attend our school? And would you recommend a career center to others? And really those are two different questions. You might not be satisfied yourself, but you might think, you know, this is a really good place. I would recommend somebody else to go there. So I asked two different questions, two different ways. And I changed this question this year. And Mr. Manson knows, being on a school board for a number of years, because we do have representation from Buckeye School on our school board, which is why I'm here this evening. So thank you for that invitation. But are you satisfied to attend? Every single year, this number runs about 98%, but I broke out, I'm going to get nerdy statistics with you. I gave it a larger Likert scale, just because of this population, and I wanted to find out what they thought. And it ends up that our students aren't very satisfied with their decision with that 92%, but I pulled out 5% of them because I gave them an option for neither. And the reason I gave them an option for neither is because some kids are just like, I had to go to school anyhow, I guess I just went there. So we gave them that opportunity, so that kind of skewed our data a little bit, but it was fun to see that and what students think. The next question, of course, is would you recommend the Medina County Career Center, which is a different question. And we had 95% of our students who would absolutely do that. Now I look at students, you know, what's with that 5%, which is a very, very small number of our overall graduating class, because we graduate 500 kids. We're a big high school. We draw from 6 different school districts. We're actually the 3rd largest high school based on graduating class in the county. So I like to look at that 5%, and really what it comes down to from the students is they would like to see more communication with their associate schools, more participation in things like pep rallies and things of that nature. But I will tell you, those results don't come from our Buckeye students. Our Buckeye students are extraordinarily involved with things here, and our communication is fabulous with this district. So I'll say that that's always a goal with other districts, but that's not really something that we see as an issue here with Buckeye. As far as our enrollment this year, we have about 1,200 students come visit the Career Center, so now we're moving on. These students graduated, we've got new students moving in. So we have about 1,200 students visit, about around 60% of the students that visit our school turn in applications, and we ended up with a class right now of incoming students is about 550. We did deny 47 students. And I guess I'll explain to the audience how does a student get denied. It's really based on credits. It can sometimes be based on the student's attendance. That's very important to us at our school. I will tell you that what we are doing as a staff, and one of the things that we've spent quite a bit of time looking at, are what's impacting our graduates right now. And I'll tell you, Mom and Dad, the big thing is end of course exams. And it's getting certain points to meet your graduation requirements. That's just a moving target that the state keeps changing on us every single year. Makes it very hard for any school district in Medina County to keep kids moving forward. So one of the things that we are going to do, and our programming committee is working on, which I know the school board will be very interested in, is we're looking at some one-year programming, putting that in place for next year. And the reason we're doing that is because for these students that weren't able to take advantage of our school as an incoming sophomore, as somebody that's going to be a junior student that spent 2 years with us, we give them an extra year, we give them the opportunity to catch up on their credits, and then reapply to the Career Center for 1 year. We're going to put in some specific one-year programming that's going to allow them to get those, they need how to get school nerds, 12 end of course points, so that they can achieve what they need to graduate through one of the pathways with those 12 DOC points. And we're looking at some technology options so that they can get Microsoft certification, because there's a lot of points that are associated with that. And so I think that's the direction we'll have in place. It's not going to be a program that we necessarily go out and recruit students for. We will offer that to the schools and to the guidance counselors, and they know who those students are. And so we'll be able to serve a lot of these students, I believe, this coming school. And we always have students that withdraw, schedule conflicts, things of that. So those are things that we work on. on. A couple of testimonials from our students. We asked them to give us a little bit of feedback. And, I think it's just so poignant to hear a sophomore student say, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'll be sure not to squander it. Wow, it was bad impact. I honestly, randomly pulled these because there's like 500 of them. So I just grabbed a couple of them. Best decision I ever made. Don't think I'd be the person I am today. And the Night Church will change your life. Give you the opportunity to be the best version of you that you can be. Really great. And here's just a representation of our current students right now from Buckeye. And we're certainly happy to give you this picture as well, because it's a great photograph, but a great representation of the vast diversity of activities that our Buckeye students are involved in right now. And like I said, we appreciate the collaboration that we have from the school district. We work very closely with you. We enjoy that. I did bring some course catalogs with me for the board. There's a couple of them, but I wasn't expecting this many people to be there. So, I go to school board meetings, there's like 4 people that show up, right? So I wasn't expecting this type of turnout. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. I know I went through that really quick.
I want to thank you, Chris, for coming, and really, any parents, if you have not been to the Career Center forever or for 10, 15 years, you need to go and see exactly what this facility provides for our community and for potentially your own children. It's not the typical, when I was a kid, type of Career Center. They are really preparing our kids for a successful future. I really appreciate our partnership, and you guys do a great job, and thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for the opportunity. I enjoyed having the opportunity. And anybody have a question? No? We got a couple of years, so you'll have questions later on. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I'm trying to make that exciting. That can be boring. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I left all our course catalogs in the back there, so feel free to pick one up and take it home, read it. My name and number's on the back.
So moving on to our next item, we have our Buckeye Students of the Month. If our administrators can come down to introduce our students.
Mr. Michael Ballas, the handsome young man representing the school as student of the month. Mrs. Sappel had a few very nice things to say about him. Michael Ballas is a third-grade student in my classroom who strives to be the best that he can be. Michael was chosen to be the October Star student for many reasons. He's a kind-hearted young man who's willing to help other students when needed, and he always comes into the classroom in the morning with a smile on his face, ready to learn. Kind of like right now. Kind of scary, lots of people. He's a hard worker in and out of the classroom. He works diligently, and he always has his homework completed. He's respectful when I'm teaching, and also when another student is talking during a classroom discussion. He strives to be a problem solver, and whenever he has a concern, he will attempt to solve it on his own. If it doesn't work, he'll come see me. I've really enjoyed having Michael in my classroom, and I can't wait to see all the accomplishments he obtains the rest of the school year. He is a star student in my eyes, and I spoke with Michael a little bit, and he has some pretty big dreams, but I'm pretty sure he can handle it, and I think there's something he works for the Indians. He wants to be a major league baseball player. So Michael Ballas, the primary student of the month.
All right. Unfortunately, Miss Davison was unable to come tonight. Education for her, and I'm going to introduce her student of the month. The funny thing is that I know her student of the month. We met him earlier this year. So The intermediate, Buckeye Intermediate School Student of the Month is Isaac Wolf. Isaac is the most polite and kind student we have ever had. I could be giving him a huge homework assignment, and he would still say, thank you. These are quotes from his teachers. Isaac is a forward thinker. He thinks and plans ahead so much so that he helps keep his teachers on track sometimes. He is a very caring, conscientious, and mature sixth grade student and always willing to help another student without being asked to do so. He can always be counted on to do the right thing. Isaac is a wonderful addition to our school family. Those are just 4 of the things his teachers have said about him. Congratulations,
So, without even connecting, Mrs. Davison and I actually nominated Isaiah's sister, Denise. So, Denise is sick though, right? So everybody go home and wash your hands. Things are going around. So I still wanted to read this. We are pleased and honored today to recognize Denise Wooster as our Buckeye Junior High Student of the Month. Denise says her favorite subject is science because science helps us understand the world around us, gives explanations, and finding solutions to problems. Denise is a part of our Junior High Science Olympiad team and not only works on her own events, but helps others. Her inquisitive nature and kind demeanor always make her an asset to any group. Denise does excellent work in her studies at school, but she is also involved in many activities outside of school. She loves to do plays and musicals for the Medina County Showbiz Company and has been in about 14 plays and musicals. She is also a Greenbelt, should be a Brown Level 3 by January, and has been taking lessons for about 7 years. She is a part of 4-H and recently became a historian, and this year she also applied to be part of the Junior Fair Board. She is also part of the Notre Dame Ignite program that helps kids in their personal growth through online courses once a month. If all of that doesn't keep her busy enough, Denise is also part of Scouts and has earned her Silver Service Award through the hours she has volunteered at the Medina Personal Care Projects Pantry. Somehow she still squeezes in time for voice and banjo lessons. Her future goals are to either be a large animal or exotic animal veterinarian. Denise, we are proud of you and the work you do to make our community a great place. Congratulations.
Good evening, my name is Adam Smith, I'm the assistant principal at Buckeye High School. On behalf of Mr. Flood, I have the privilege and honor to introduce to you our 2 students of the month for the month of November. I will call Judy Sadek up first. Judy is a current sophomore and is enrolled currently in a number of college level and AP level courses such as college algebra, AP U.S. history, and human body systems. And with all of those classes in her busy schedule, has successfully earned roughly a 4.8 GPA, which is very impressive considering the courses that she is currently taking. Her immediate plans, though she's still just a sophomore, are big, and she is planning on looking at Ivy League schools in the near future, in which she is interested in the medical field. And Judy, I apologize for not remembering, what exactly was it that you were looking to study?
Surgery, cardiothoracic.
Cardiothoracic surgery, so impressive, goal-oriented. She is most proud of her creation of the Med Club here at Buckeye High School, and would like to thank her parents for putting up with her for the last 15 years and teaching her everything she knows. I would also like to make a side note that if anybody is looking for a calligraphy writer for thank you notes, Judy has on a number of occasions
pen name tags for a number of our students and our staff. And when I first saw her calligraphy, I thought it had to be print because it was far too perfect. Truly, truly impressive. So everybody round of applause for it. Our next student of the month is Tyler Wright. Tyler is a current senior, and Tyler is enrolled in AP Psychology, Literature, and Calculus. And with those schedules in his those classes in his busy schedule, he has accumulated a 4.4 GPA, which is very impressive. His favorite class is either art history or philosophy. Tyler's immediate plans are looking at the College of Worcester and or Denison, where he is interested in political science. He would like to potentially be a political analyst or work on a campaign someday in the near future. He also is most proud of being captain of the cross-country team and captain of our academic challenge team. He would also like to thank his parents for putting up with him for the last 15 years and thanks them for everything that they have done for him during his time. So, Tyler Wright.
We're going to go ahead to the first administrative presentation because that involves children also, I assume. Thank you.
Thank you. Some of our kiddos are missing one of their banquets to be here tonight, so we're gonna get them going. I'm very pleased to present Mrs. Schrader and Mrs. Haber's third grade class. And they're here to show us an example of what we do with our initiative that's Poetry Palooza. See lots of photo ops. I don't want to use So, Poetry Palooza. Parents, why do we do it? Every night and after we go home. Sometimes more than one poem has to be read in a week. It increases vocabulary, improves reading fluency, it improves prosody, which is expression, and it builds self-confidence in reading. We've also had some side benefits of this program, and you'll see them in a minute. So our students work on the poem each week. Sometimes they're a little difficult, sometimes they're a little bit easier. And so a class is chosen each week, and they come to my office. Present this week's Poetry Palooza class is Mrs. Hager's and Mrs. Schrader's third grade class.
When the Halloween pumpkins are gone and the leaves have fallen to the ground, when the air has turned windy and cold, then Thanksgiving will soon be around. Thoughts of loved ones all feasting together, pleasant pictures from past times appear to dwell in each
looking at that, it's looking down to watch it and the looks on their faces reliving it. Did you guys like doing that? I think the recyclers got a little bit of applause too. So, right now, they're gonna show you their stuff. So I'm very proud to present Mrs. Neighbors and Mrs. Schrader's. We're a great class.
Thanksgiving feasting, when the Halloween pumpkins are gone, and the leaves have fallen to the ground, when the air is windy and cold, Thanksgiving will soon be around. Thoughts of loved ones all feasting together, pleasant pictures from past times appear, to dwell in each heart and each mind. The Thanksgiving is finally here. The kitchen has scrumptious aromas. The dining room looks oh so fine. Decorations with pilgrims and turkeys. And now we are ready to dine. First the napkins are placed on our laps. Then the meal to be blessed. Then we stuff the food in our tummies. And we hope for it all to digest. Happy Thanksgiving!
Thank you, parents, for being here and bringing your kids this evening. Awesome job. And thank you, Mrs. Schrader and Mrs. Taylor.
It's like the best part of the meeting. We are going to take a standing break at this time, so we can take photos of the students. And then we'll back together. And we are ready for Mr. Harrington's presentation.
Yes.
Hey boys, what are we working on?
I don't know, just some math.
Soch. Well, math and soch.
Yeah.
You guys are hardworking academically, hardworking on the field. What a great time for us to talk about all of our achievements in athletics and academics for the fall of 2019. Did you know that we had an overall athletic department GPA of 3.512?
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
It's unbelievable. Our kids do an amazing job in the classroom. Football had a 3.23, volleyball had a 3.58, boys soccer had a 3.36, girls soccer had a 3.67, boys cross country had 3.8, girls cross country had the highest at 3.87, cheerleading had 3.29, and golf had a 3.3. So every single team was over a 3.0 this year. What an amazing start to the year. Let's talk some more sports and academics. What do you say?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Proud of you guys. Good job.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Tom Harrington, and I'm the athletic director here at Buckeye High School. I'm excited to share with you tonight some of the great successes we've had in the fall 2019 season. We had some very strong individual performances, some great conference performances, and also strong postseason performances by our teams. So here we go. The 2019 volleyball season was one that showed a lot of promise for the years to come. We had first teamer Kamaya Gibson in the GLC, second team Bella Ann Zavino, and honorable mention members Sydney Bell and Lexi Anzavino. Kamaya Gibson also earned second team in all district, and freshman Bella Ann Zavino earned honorable mention. Our volleyball team returns all of their players except for one, so we look forward to some very successful seasons moving forward with Buckeye volleyball. We'd also like to congratulate our golf team who finished 6th place in a very, very challenging GLC championship meet. Our low performer for the year was sophomore Christian Ray. So much like volleyball, we expect our golf team to be very competitive moving forward. Our football team's first year in the Great Lakes Conference was right where they left off in the PAC. Our football team was co-champs with Holy Name with a final record of 8-3 and only 1 loss in the conference. Our football team made the playoffs and hosted for the 5th year in a row. And we had our conference MVP, Jacob Durgey, and conference specialist of the year, Clay Gunkelman. Other members of first team in the Great Lakes Conference included Clay Gunkelman, Jacob Stahl, Todd Allen, AJ Curlow, Keegan Varney, Quentin Ballantyne, and Zach Weber. Second team performers included Cam Stout, Cayman Marshall, Matt McBride, Armando Nye, Ben Barnes, and Archer Treese. An honorable mention for Rob Benaga and Zach Radon. So we want to spend a special congratulations to them for really representing Buckeye so well. Also want to send a special recognition to Coach Dennison, who was Conference Coach of the Year. Congratulations to all of our performers. For Division III football, we had several players garner some very impressive honors. Jacob Durgey, Jacob Stahl, and Clay Gunkelman were all first team members, all district. Second team member, Todd Allen, and honorable mention, AJ Curlow, Keegan Varney, and Quentin Ballantyne. Congratulations. The Buckeye boys cross country team finished in 6th place in the Great Lakes Conference. Special recognition goes out to senior Jacob Stahl, who was second team all-conference, and several honorable mention performers, Jonathan Stahl and Mason Cabot. Our girls team finished in 3rd place overall, which is very impressive for our first year in the new conference. And we'd like to send some special recognition to freshman Sandra Delata, who was not only first team all Great Lakes Conference, she was also the first female runner in school history to qualify for a Division I regional, where she had a very, very good performance, finishing in the top 3rd. So we know that she's going to have continued success. The second team for the Great Lakes girls includes Morgan Sechka, Faith Krakowski, and honorable mention, Emily Hammond and Julia Fike. Congratulations. The Great Lakes Girls Soccer Conference is one of the best conferences in the state of Ohio for Division II. Our girls finished in 2nd place and made it to the district championship. We had several members make first team in the Great Lakes Conference, including Reagan McCourt, Lauren Petrovich, and Emma Resnick. Second team members included Manny Tanner and Madison Ambergy. Honorable mention for Alexa Atlasy and Hannah Smith. Then we also had several all-district performers. First team all-district, Lauren Petrovich and Reagan McCourt. Second team all-district, Alexa Atlasy. And honorable mention all-district, Hannah Smith, Caitlin Petrovich, and Natalie Bartlett. Want to send just a huge congratulations to this team. I know we'll never forget the shootout against Bay in front of a huge crowd in the postseason. So we thank you for taking Buckeye on a great ride this year. Congratulations, girls. The Great Lakes Conference in boys soccer is an extremely competitive division, much like it is with the girls. Our boys also had a tremendous season. Buckeye finished in 2nd place and made it to the district finals and lost to defending state champion Bay. We want to send a huge congratulations for a great run this year and recognize some of our individual performers. Jack Waters and Jake Emrock were first team all-conference. Second team members all-conference included Chase Miller and Clay Gunkelman, and honorable mention members Danny Thorick and Spencer Dreibelbis. All Greater Cleveland includes first team Jake Emrock and Jack Waters, second team Clay Gunkelman and Danny Thorick, and honorable mention Chase Miller, Spencer Dreibelbis, and PJ Dirksen. All state honors go to second team Jack Waters, which is a huge achievement considering, again, that we are in an area where we have so many great performers in boys soccer. Congratulations to our team, and we look forward to continuing our success next year. Finally, we want to recognize our cheerleaders who were absolutely amazing this year, as they always are, with getting the crowd fired up at our football games and just bringing so much spirit to our school. They also finished in first place at the Champion Cheer Central Classic, so we want to give them special recognition. They're competing again, and they took first place, which is great for Buckeye. Finally, as well, congratulations to our band on an amazing season. Congratulations to Mr. King. Thank you for all that you do for Buckeye, and thank you, band, for the music that you provide at our games. It totally enhances the atmosphere, and we're so grateful for it. Thank you.
All right, thank you to Mr. Harrington there. Treasurer's report?
If it's okay, I'll do the presentation first and then come back
Sure.
with her. Most of you in the audience, not to me, but this is our 5-year forecast presentation, which we have to do annually, twice a year. Once, they moved it now to November 30th for our filing deadline. It used to be October that I got to come and do this presentation. So this is November, and then we'll do it again in May. So what it is this is a mandate out of law that every November and May we do this. It includes 3 years of history or actual data, 5 years of projections or assumptions. And these assumptions/projections are based on what we know today. And the board and I have been having these discussions, if you've been coming to any special meetings, for several months now, over Nexus pipeline money, different taxes, what's happening with reappraisals and stuff. So it is extremely fluid this year, more than any other year that I've done this, or any other year we've had to do this. With it being changing literally minute by minute. Last week, I think in the course of 5 days, I had at least 9 different communications from the auditor changing values and assumptions. So very fluid with this particular one. And the differences between the forecast and the actual results at times can be material and impact this forecast for future assumptions or planning. So the point of this tool is to give the board the information they need to do to make decisions financially with the resources and how they want to then make their choices based on it. So important to know, this is only general and emergency levy funds. It is not any athletics, student activities, food service, grants, federal or otherwise. So strictly our general fund and levy and emergency levy fund. House Bill 166 was the new biennium budget that came in effect on July 1 through the legislature. And it did not increase our funding. It left us at a guarantee of fiscal year 19 levels. So we did not get assistance from the state that we thought we might. There were 2 different versions going in legislature. The one that ended up coming into B is not an increase in funding, except for 2 areas they did address. They addressed its student wellness and success funds, and that kind of ties to the earlier presentation in the special meeting regarding socio-emotional needs and mental health. So we're looking at what we're going to do with those dollars. Those are not in this forecast, and they're not to be put in it. So, and there's no guarantee you're going to continue to get them. It's only guaranteed for this year and next year. And then the infamous Nexus pipeline that Mr. Stahl has been asking me about now for, I think, all 3 years I've been here. When are we getting that money? How's it coming? We finally have information from our county auditor, so we do have that included in the forecast, and I'll address it in a little bit. Also, just in case you're wondering, our wellness success fund was $100,000 this year, $444,000. So, and we don't know our allocation next year. We had given assumptions to give us, and then they removed them and said, hold on, we don't know for sure. So it probably will be close to $100,000 again next year, but we're not for sure. We don't have that for certain. So just a quick graph to show you revenues and expenditures, where we go, and then where our cash position is. So the red line is our expenses or our costs, and the blue is our revenue. So you can see here that approximately fiscal year 21 will deficit spend, which is where you're spending more than you're bringing in. And then in relation to that, you'll see the green cash line starting to take a downward turn. So your trends would be exactly what you expect. It's also exactly what you expect in levy cycles. We've actually been able to push this out quite a bit. Each year we've been able to push out the deficit spending. This year, or
this particular time, it's really from the nexus and the reappraisal. Other times it was we had a better control over certain things. This time it's because our reappraisal that came in and the nexus. So we are pretty sustainable throughout the forecast period. The ending cash balance, this is just to show you in graph formation, it's a little easier. You want a 30 to 60 day cash balance minimum is your target at the end of the year. That's the orange bar or the very small one. So you can see that our cash is going to continue to trend down just as our deficit spending continues to go up. So it's exactly what you would expect. And then our sources of revenue, you can see that locally we have 65% of all of our revenue comes from local sources, meaning our community really supports our school. Through their taxes, through other sources, they really have the brunt of the responsibility of this school, responsibility to our district. Because the state, although they're a significant share of our funding, they really aren't carrying the burden. They're at a total of 34%, 34.97 and 65 million. So the current state, as I mentioned, the current state budget was just a guarantee to all fiscal year 19 levels. Local versus state funding to show you, I think that's a little bit more illustrative of how much different and how much more the local share or burden, whichever term you want to put it, is responsible for us. So we really have a lot of assistance and need from our community. And the state is not going to be a growing partner to us. They will not continue to grow with us. So, and before I started here, and several years before, the TPP was tangible personal property tax. That was a huge thing at the state level that took away a lot of revenue from Buckeye. And so we've been finding ways to try to overcome that. But no additional commitment from the state is certainly something of concern long term. Operating revenue overview, House Bill 166 again, it is our budget from the state. But interestingly enough, one of the areas of the two I mentioned earlier, we have an enrollment growth supplement for fiscal year 20 and 21. And this year was $59,000. And that's based on enrollment of fiscal year 16. So I keep saying our enrollment really is not changing. It's pretty stagnant within like 50 to 60 kids every year in every class. Except we did have a couple bumps. And ironically, that's helping us now with this enrollment supplement. So we are getting a little bit of bump there. And then no increase in basic aid. In Medina County, we had a reappraisal in 19, so this year. And when everyone got their tax bills, I think everyone saw the effect of the reappraisal on them. If you live in Medina County, most all those went up fairly significantly for some. And the district will experience an estimated increase in class 1, which is residential and agriculture, or normal property taxes as we would call them, of 7.5% and 5.72% in the business and commercial and industry, which is also where Nexus pipeline will fall into as well too. So, House Bill 49, that was another biennium before, and it decreased the agricultural values, which is an exemption they give farmers. So when they decrease or exempt someone else is going to rise up. So that burden of the decrease to agriculture went to your normal residential and agriculture. So there was also a flux there where your CAU values decreased and then class 1 had to increase to get back to where you are. Because the way levies work is you have to collect what it is you're looking to collect for an emergency levy, and then the other continuing levies work a little different with reduction factors. The value of Nexus, just in case anybody is interested, is we put it at 30% of the value right now of the values that we got from the auditor's office because of the appeal process. So actually it's at 70%, we reduced it by 30. We're expecting and completely anticipating that Nexus will appeal, wanting to go to original values that they put out in 2015. So that would drastically decrease. So we're going at 30% of the original, or the decrease of the original values. So if we collect all our local taxes, we are on pace to be pretty strong through this forecast. And then the general fund expenditures, that is, honestly, we're a service industry, so our biggest expense is benefits and labor, which is wages and benefits. So ours is 78.7%, state average is 74. The other area that's growing is services. That is a little bit better shown here in a bar graph, I think. But our salaries is your red, the benefits is blue, and services is the orange. to control because your health insurance, we estimate 10% as an increase every year. And sometimes we can get ours to come in a little lower than that. But you also can't project very well how many people will come on or off your plans. So it's a very variable area to do. And the services are increasing. You also have different special ed and different other educational services contributing to that, but also Ed Choice, CCP, and other types of scholarships are located in that group too, which has been increasing over the past few years also. So in summary, where we're at right now, there's always 2 bienniums in your forecast, so it's a little bit hard to project what the state's gonna do for you. We're going with no new state funding based on what they just did for this biennium. Local tax collections are increasing from the reappraisal, which we would expect. They'll have an update then again in 3 years to see what that would do. In the short term, we're obviously going to keep our eye on the pipeline values and continue to monitor them. And in relation to the assessed values. So our collections will settle in March for our first half taxes, and that will be really indicative to us to see where are we actually going to land with this. Because it's very, very variable right now. And again, deficit spending projected in 21. I know we've talked a lot about it, but certainly, if you have any questions. And then, while I'm up here, I'll do the slide for the credit card if that's okay. I'll go a little bit out of order since I'm saying out.
Next one.
Okay. So this is a requirement by the credit card policy that we had to put in as a result of legislature. Most of my job is compliance and relation, things we do are reactionary to laws coming up or currently in place. So the credit card is not what you and I would consider a credit card. I mean, it is, we do have a Visa, but it's anything on account. So it pulls in a lot more vendors than just a Visa card. So we have Amazon, we have American Express, we have Bueller's, Gordon's, Home Depot, Staples, Visa, and Walmart. And then I just put a very brief statement of what we buy with those things. Amazon is everything and anything for classroom, student activities, Chromebook repair, supplies, things of that nature. You can see our spend went up significantly from last year to this year. And that is because it was something we're trying to get people to do. And it's much easier for our staff to order off Amazon than it is other places, and they get a quick turnaround on things. And then American Express, that's only for workman's compensation premiums, that's the only thing we use it for. And the reason we use it is because we get a discount on the premium by paying through American Express. So you can see the trend of our premium going down because we've been getting rebates on our premium and also refunds on overpayment. They continue to release, workers' compensation continues to release reimbursements to us. Then Bueller's is mostly 98% all home economic supplies, so you can see where that trend is. The light shaded color indicates there is no rewards on the card at all or the account. Gordon Food Services, that's mainly at the Medina store location, and it's just another avenue to help people get bulk food a little bit quicker than having to go somewhere else. Staples, office supplies, and Home Depot, I skipped that one, sorry, maintenance, custodial equipment. And the Visa, you can see that we actually decreased our Visa spend, but we increased our Amazon spend. Our total spend on account is not decreased, but we've altered it and distributed it differently as we were choosing to use. And then Walmart is, again, classroom supplies, student activity supplies, Chromebook repair, and that increased a little bit too. So while I was standing, I wanted to go over that first. I have more information than normal, so I apologize. Now, the treasurer's report, that wasn't all of the report, I'm sorry to say. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education set the treasurer's report
a motion on these items? Second? Any questions on these particular items?
Going back to the credit card usage summary, you said that those were open accounts? Or how did you describe that instead of everybody using?
Purchasing an account. So even though they don't have a hard credit card, you can go into Home Depot with the, well, Home Depot has a purchasing card, but, or
As opposed to like a bulk order supply, which that's not a purchase order, that's pre-submitted to bulk order.
an invoice exactly.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Stahl? Averchi?
Yes.
Barco?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
Copeland?
Yes.
And one more please for the treasurer. Adopt tax rate, recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education adopt the amended tax rate of 60.70 for the remaining collections of fiscal year 20, commencing July 1st, 2019, as determined by the Budget Commission as follows and illustrated in Appendix E. You can see that the rates, the actual rate that's changing though is the emergency levy. It was 6.9 mils, it's going to be 5.5 due to next fiscal year.
A motion on these items? Second?
Second.
Any questions? Roll call.
Averchi?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
Barco?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Copeland?
Yes. Just like to thank you, Jen, that was a lot tonight, a lot of information. Public participation. The public is invited to speak to any of the agenda items and other school topics. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Direct questions will not be answered by the Board of Education members at this time. However, answers will be given at a later date as appropriate. Is there anyone who wishes to speak this evening? Yes.
Good evening. My name is Donna B. Height. I'm running for the Ohio House of Representatives, and my driving force for running for this is to reverse the 65% local sources for your school funding and the 34% for the state funding, because it's ridiculous. We need to fix our funding formula. It's been unconstitutional for over 25 years. I know I'm speaking to the choir, and but I want to say that this is a very important issue for me, and I really would like to speak with administration. I would like to speak with the teachers. I've met with your superintendent, Mr. Kent, and I would really appreciate any time that you could give to me to talk and discuss and figure out, how do we move and get those numbers reversed. Again, I'm Donna P. Heitwitz, and I am running for the Ohio House for the 69th district, and I thank you very much for your time.
I didn't catch your last name.
B. Height, Beheydt. I couldn't marry a Smith or a Jones.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else who wishes to speak this evening? Yes.
Hi, I am Samantha Turner. I am the new SRO for the school, and I have Jason Kramer here with me. He is with Earhart Fire, I can't remember, Assistant Chief. And we wanted to speak on ways to make the Halloween party at the elementary school a little more safe and not as
Overcrowded.
yes, overcrowded in the rooms and in the halls, the parking lot, that kind of thing, in case something were to happen that a fire apparatus would have to get in, an ambulance, that kind of thing. This is obviously my first year, so this is my first experience with it, but we'd like to try to kind of figure out a way to make it a little more less crowded and to have more of a way to keep track of everybody that's actually in the building in case something were to happen, so that we have more of accountability for where people are and how to get them out of the building in case of an evacuation, like a gas leak, a fire, something like that. It seems like we're not going to be able to really be held accountable for everybody in the building with the way it was done this year. So that's
Are you
what
offering suggestions? Are you?
yeah, we would love to offer suggestions. Some schools do like certain number of people in each room, and then you could have like a sign-in sheet at the office that would have that person's name. They would show their identification, what room they're going to, who their student is, just so that we know who all is in the building in case of an emergency. Because the parking lot was very overcrowded as well, and I mean the hallways are crowded for the parade, which is a lovely thing. I don't want to stop the parade. I don't want to stop the party. We just need to figure out a safer way to do it for everybody, parents, parents and the students and the teachers.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who's in, like, if somebody at the elementary school or anything's in charge, talk to Sam and.
It's Kelly Davison.
Right up under the bar. Someone in that truck coming from a mile away.
No, it's,
I think what we will do through the superintendent is let you folks get together and maybe come up with some ideas.
I think that's best.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I think we've had ideas, it's balancing
Yes.
the
Not
community.
not necessarily getting rid of it for the community's sake, but finding a healthy balance so that everybody kind of, because I mean, I hate to speak for the staff, but just hearing them speak to me, it is definitely, I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. It's definitely a concern for them with how to keep track of everybody and everybody that's coming into the building. So just to make it a little, put everybody at ease, kind of, to come up with a middle ground.
All right, well, we have about a year to work on it.
Yeah, look at us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Claire Conley. I'm over on Stone Road again. I am here as you probably remember from over the summer for Latchkey. Sorry, it's season in. I would just like to know, and obviously I know you won't answer necessarily right now, what the results are, where we're at, and the community survey went out. I'm very interested to hear what the results would be for that. I know you're still there. I still see them out on Facebook floating around. Please fill out the survey. But again, I would just like to bring it to your attention as something as you move forward thinking about next year and thinking about the new year as it's coming along. But also, happy Halloween belated and soon to be happy Thanksgiving, and we're all anxious for that break. But again, if you could bring that to the forefront of your mind as you make your plans.
Thank you. Anyone else? Don't want to miss anybody. All right, well then, we'll move on to the superintendent's informational items.
Thank you. So we started to give an overview of where we are with our academic and curricular focus in our buildings. Just kind of a review of what our BLT at each of those buildings. So you see the primary is on the board. They did add a goal from the first presentation to continue to implement the social emotional learning. And you'll notice there's a lot of similar terms and similar focuses with each of the BLTs, and that's because the BLTs do align with our DLT, our district leadership team. And so you should see some connection. What you will notice is that there's a little difference on some focuses based on specific buildings, as well as maybe where the progress is along the curriculum or the continuum of getting to the point of having a total success with each of those topics on the BLT. At the primary, all students have been benchmarked in literacy and math, and 139 and 89 students respectively are receiving interventions in each area. 84 groups of students identified in branching minds and receiving interventions, which in those two items talks about being able to identify where our students' needs are for giving them assistance to perform at a higher rate and to meet their needs of learning, where their gaps are. And this tells us that we already have those systems in place and our teachers are working with our students on a regular basis. The programs that they're in allow us to help measure the success and to keep a good record of our data that we have with our assessments. All grade level teams are identified students needing interventions and develop plans for those students. Behavior intervention team has met with teachers to discuss 5 students. 60% of those students have exhibited improvements in behavior, and and the team has additional meetings scheduled for additional students. And then created the social emotional team to implement strategies such as calming corner, morning meetings, incorporating where students are in the zone of regulation, and making connections with all students for the social emotional learning. At the intermediate, you see the branching minds and our RTI, which talk again about the response to intervention. They also focused on their one school, one book. And then we also have with the social emotional learning and the mindfulness. In their progress, they have how many evaluations have been done and how the full cycles are required, and how many of your staff PGPs are oriented towards using assessment data. Okay, that just threw me for a loop. I don't think that's a data point. Sorry. We've administered the DRA, which is a, I just went blank on that. The Diagnostic Reading Assessment for comprehension in 5th grade. We've trained, selected, and administered benchmarks for ELA and math for grades 4, 5, and 6. We've identified intervention groups in the branching minds. We have 70 groups of struggling students. Wrote goals, identified interventions, and trained and identified progress monitoring tools. And by November 11th, accumulated current student standards, mastery data, and shared with teachers to be done monthly. So again, we have progress moving forward in intermediate building as well. We have our teacher team times at the junior high, resources being used for common assessments and new curricular materials, coaching on the red standards, which aligns with the standards for the curriculum in the areas that our students have shown 2 years of struggles with academically. And then common assessment conversations are including benchmarking, providing intervention based on student needs. So our progress completed 10 out of 17 first-round observations. This would be from the principal evaluations with the teachers. Of those 10, most teachers are using an assessment data-focused goal on the professional growth plan. So we're really looking at how our teachers at the junior high are focused on their student data and using that to inform instruction, identify the students' needs. Teachers are learning how to respond to their student data. Trained on, developed, and used benchmark assessments in ELA and math, and science is in development. These are given the fall, winter, and spring. So we just completed the fall. The winter is set for, I believe, January, February. And we'll see or look at that information in the new year. After the winter assessment, teachers will reevaluate their intervention groups. And the red standards in literacy are a central piece of developing common assessments in social studies. And the central office staff has been providing one-on-one coaching. And the high school branching minds to support the RTI process. There's a data analysis meetings for the red standards work again. Pacing guides and common assessments has been a focus. And also with the building leadership capacity with department heads and BLT, TBT is leading the process, which does give an impact to our students with our teachers, our administrators focused on those standards. Completed 17 of 20 first-round observations, and of those, most teachers are using an assessment data-focused goal on a professional growth plan. Teachers are learning how to appropriately identify and respond to the student data. Trained on and developed common exams in ELA, math, science, and social studies. These assessments are standards aligned, and teachers will use them in the January late arrival to reevaluate intervention groups, paying special attention to how students are doing on the red standards. And the teachers are in the process of formalizing pacing guides to be put in place for the 2021 school year. And lastly, the department heads and previous BLT have been combined into one group to better facilitate leadership and on a common message, which has contributed to progress at the high school this year. So the hopes are that we have the systems in place. We have a lot of work being done on a regular basis. And at the next update, we would be seeing more of the results on the success of how our students have been responding and showing that the efforts of our staff have been moving our students along with the data identifying growth. And the focus, heard the red standards a lot, and those are some of the things that we've been talking about across the district as being more focused on, because those are areas that we have seen struggles with our students over the last 2 years on the state test. And so that's another part of the data point that we've been focused on this school year.
I have a question.
Yes.
When it says for the high school, trained on and developed common exams in ELA and math, let's just talk about those two. How often are those common exams given, or how many, or do you have any details on that?
I don't have a number. Mr. Snook, are you?
This is there are a number of our content area departments that are working on common assessments currently and have been working together to ensure that their questions are aligning to the standards. So they are ensuring that their questions, especially the vocabulary in those questions, are aligning to those tests that they will be taking as EOCs. So our teachers have been putting in diligent work, working with Fidelity to make sure that those are aligning. That's something that this year we are working on continuously. Today our English department met to align a number of their assessments. Last week our science department met to make sure that their assessments were matching up. So it's work that's in progress, and I think that this is just another great step in the right direction to make sure that we are ensuring that all of our students, no matter who they have as their teacher, are receiving that high quality education as their peers in another class would be receiving.
So these aren't actually completed yet, is that what you're saying, they're just in process? Or
The midterm exams,
is this midterm or common assessments?
some of the common assessments are completed, they are in progress. The midterms are in progress at the moment as well.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
and a lot of that is the result of looking at our red standards as well, ensuring that we are focusing on those red standards in those assessments to ensure that we are meeting those specific needs that we've been able to identify as areas that our students are struggling in. Not that we are solely looking at just those red standards, but making sure that we're paying special attention to those areas where our students statistically have struggled in the past.
Thank you.
Mr. Morris, one of your slides, you talked about principal assessments and follow-up programs. And we've had this conversation in the past that you use the term for people participating in that, teachers doing this. You have that there's most teachers doing this now. How do we get that closer to all teachers doing this? Because this has been one of the reasons we've been told this is not working for us because people are following along.
The assessment piece where it talks about the number of evaluations, that's the teachers that are full cycle evaluations. And there's different requirements in regards to where you are with your evaluation on what type of a the improvement plan versus the professional growth plan. And so one of the things that I wanted to highlight was that some of the similarities of those teachers that are being evaluated currently, that is a major focus for them personally, professionally, to be looking at student data as an area that they are looking to grow in. And so that's connecting very closely with what we're doing as a BLT, TBT, and looking at student assessment data.
So there's another piece of that Dr. Collins would have talked about that you were making, was not following through on what you were planning to have them teach or part of the program. I think what that term that was used in the email that we got out over this, whatever the standards are that were not being taught correctly.
The red standards, yes.
Yes, okay, and that you were having a hard time getting people to comply with that.
I don't know. We hadn't used red standards. Last year was the first year that we had the data to have red standards, and they were pink because it was only 1 year's worth of data. So last year we were having a hard time getting people to really dig into the standards because we only had 1 year worth of data saying that it was an issue. But this year I would say that's completely different because now we have 2 different groups of students and 2 years worth of data. So it's not that the first year it was just that group of kids that was causing an issue. Now we can see that it's a programmatic issue over time.
And I will add from the high school's perspective, is the state is releasing additional questions from previous tests. Our teachers have had the opportunity to see what those questions look like, see what those questions are asking, the verbiage in those questions, dissecting those questions to be able to analyze, is it the content that our students are missing out on, or is it sometimes the length of the question itself? And so our staff is working diligently to understand both of those avenues. Is it content? It could be, and in some cases it is, but in some cases, when you look at those questions on those tests, they aren't 1 or 2 sentences, A, B, C, or D. It's a half a page. And so we are, continuously working with our students to have them become better test takers, if you will, per the test requirements that our students are seeing now more than ever.
And so part of the challenge with those red standards is to identify, the data is there, what is the reason why they're red standards? And so it does go into dissecting the question to determine, is it how we're asking those questions? Is our rigor not maybe as high as what the state test is? Or is it a completely different way that we need to teach it? And so there's a lot of, doing those common assessments helps that. It also looks at the, the understanding of the students and trying to identify quicker than waiting for that test to occur in the spring, get the results in the fall, and now they're in somebody else's class. So it's really trying to align our assessments with what those standards are trying to ensure our students have. We're looking at that data real time today versus looking at it from a test on the state test next fall. And so we're trying to plan ourselves out to where we're going to ensure that our students are getting that instruction.
And I would actually just make one correction to what Mr. Snook said. We do have a lot of the common midterm exams completed because they're being put into Edulastic. So we do have most of the common midterms completed. And the ones that aren't, like all English 9 teachers are given the same common midterm. All CPE teachers are given the same common midterm. All biology teachers. So everyone, when we have multiple teachers, is doing the same exam, and most of those, like I said, are finished now. The ones that are singleton classes, like our philosophy class, all of those exams are having to be submitted this year to Mr. Flood. So we do have record of what all the exams are to ensure that they are meeting standards and they are meeting the learning objectives for the course.
So the first opportunity for a common assessment is midterm?
No, some of the courses already had common assessments created. Like Mr. Snook said, some of the classes did have unit assessments already created. Especially like the classes, so we have common assessments already that are cold reads in English 9 and 10. CPE had common assessments because they just wrote that class last year. So when they wrote the class, they went ahead and wrote the assessments. Some of the classes where we had, where we did not have courses of study on hand, they are currently writing the pacing guides and the assessments at the same time. So it just depends on what the course is. Any courses that have been put in place in the last year since I've been here do have common pacing and or are doing common pacing right now, and they do have common assessments and or are writing common assessments right now. So.
Dr. Palmer, are you seeing any trending, where we're going to be heading with this? We have the report card coming, and you're seeing these assessments that you already have in place.
Well, we just created a report which I showed to Mr. Morgan. Now that we do have a comprehensive K-10 math program, everyone is using Envision in the district. So this is the first time that I can pull reports on a monthly basis and see our mastery towards standards. So that's what he mentioned in a couple of the buildings, that we now can track their mastery. So we will be able to see this. The first data point that I have now that we've finished all the fall benchmarks, because we had a lot of people that didn't realize that the programs had benchmarks in them. So now that we've got the programs in place, this is the first year for a lot of people having this Envision program. Actually, it's the first year K-10 because K-5 was using the old Envision program and they've all upgraded now to Envision 2020. So now we have a comprehensive system of benchmarks in math. And this was the first time that I was able to pull the monthly report for November. So we will be able to look at between November and December what's the standards mastery in our math program over the course of a month. In English, we don't have a comprehensive program. We have different programs. We have K-5 on Wonders and 6 to 8 on My Perspectives, which is a Pearson program, and we have the high school that's using a novels-based curriculum. So that's not going to be as clean. But with benchmarking in K through 8, we'll be able to track that data. And at the high school level, we have like I said, skills-based assessments, which we didn't have in place a few years ago. We used to test on the book that they were just now reading. So they read Night, they took a test on Night. And now we're doing, you can read Night and take a skills-based assessment on another passage. So now we will be able to track that data. So now that those systems are in place, we have the ability to follow along with the standards and see how the kids are doing on the standards.
And I would just add too, with the ELA being different assessments, the conversations are still right in line with what are we teaching, what's our assessments telling us where our kids are. So it's still a good process, even though we don't have it aligned with all grade levels using the same type of assessment information. I also would say that in some of the conversations that I had with the principals last week, there was a number of them that had shared that some of our teachers have data, but it's not been entered into some of those programs where we can truly pull all that information out. But we're confident that's going to be more accessible when we do it here in the new year.
And one last question, on the third grade reading guarantee, how are we doing with that?
Of the 189 students that the elementary identified, or that the primary identified for needing reading improvement plans, the kids on RIMPs are included in that 189 kids. And we had a conversation about, you know, as we've said for years, K-3 literacy, that measure on the report card is a measure of your ability to hypothesize which kids may need RIMPs. So we put more kids on reading improvement plans than the number of kids that the data shows need a reading improvement plan, because we try to compensate so that we're covering. Because for all those kids that you don't put on a RIMP, you get a deduction on the report card. That was the deduction that we took this year for 7 kids not being put on RIMPs. So we use multiple data points at the primary level to determine which kids need those reading improvement plans. But some kids still get missed. They're fine on multiple data points, but at the end of the year, they end up not being proficient, and then they count against us. So 7 kids, when we've got a class of 160 kids, is an entire grade level. It's an entire grade letter deduction for us. So.
May I? I'm just gonna say, and it's not just third grade that's measured. I think it is a guessing game, and the frustration, I think, for all elementary staff is that they measure it from fall to fall instead of fall to spring. So it's like apples to oranges, because our assessments just went up for the following year, and you have something called summer slide. For those students, a lot of whom are at risk, may not be reading over the summer. So the measure isn't really a true one. Doesn't mean we can't get better. We've done some phonemic awareness work at the primary, and we're still plugging along. But it is a numbers game for that one, for K1, 2, and 3. We have to report on every student in the primary. Are they on track in math, reading, and writing? But they only look at the measure fall to fall.
And a student's writing, we don't write WIMPs, we don't write writing improvement plans, but the student's writing is what may make them not proficient on that spring assessment. So all of our data points with Ames Web and DRA and our benchmarking and Wonders and all the assessments that we use, the student may still at the end of the year not score highly in the writing section, and we wouldn't have had a WIMP to put them on because it doesn't exist. So those 7 students, it very well could have been the case that they did well in all the reading sections, but the writing section they did not do well in, and now we take a deduction for those 7 students. So I guess what I think we're both saying is it really truly is a guessing game, and when you have a number like our primary has, that 87.5% of our kids are proficient in reading, and we have had not a single student be retained as a result of the third grade reading guarantee in at least the last 5 years. I mean, I don't know about before then, but
not ever.
We've never had a student be retained, and yet to have a D in a K-3 literacy measure is kind of
frustrating.
Yes, it seems like a pretty arbitrary measure for 7 students that we missed, putting them on a RIMP.
Yet we have more data. They had more data on those 7 students that supported where those students were than the one-day test of the state. And so it's hard for me to say, really, you guys blew it on, because they know every weeks, number of times in a week, how many times you know, I need to move this kid here, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's a fluid group, and to miss them at one point and be dinged for it, it's kind of like, really? It's not something that we are beating ourselves up over, because we believe we're doing a great job on that on a regular basis. And that's the whole key with common assessments, to have an assessment data that you're using to inform your instruction versus looking at the state test and going, oh my gosh, last year we really bombed it. There's nothing we can do about it now. But this assessment data we have right now that we're talking about, that I shared, that's the key for us to be moving the group to be successful. It's really easy. Figure it out.
Thank you.
The next item is canceled. We are not going to have our November Board of Education work session next Monday. Item C, we have upcoming holiday breaks. November 27th to the 29th, we have Thanksgiving. And December 20th, we have no school for students, but it is a teacher work day. And then December 23rd through January 3rd is our winter break. And then to Ms. Conley's question, we had our Buckeye Community Survey. We had just under 800 community members be a participant to that, which was tremendous. I think the number was, when we did it 2 years ago, it was under 500, I believe, Mrs. Collins?
493 responses.
Almost 500. And so we have more, which is great news. Got some good information on that. We'll be sharing that out after the first of the year. We're going to kind of talk about that as a board and identify how we want to really focus on making some decisions through that. The latchkey, I was kind of thinking I had an answer today, but I don't, because we have some information we have to investigate a little bit further. So I'm hoping to have some information to share with everyone at our December board meeting. And so that's something that with our community I'm expecting to have, based off of the survey information and talking with the board, identifying our direction that aligns with our strategic plan and moving forward with some of those topics that were in the survey. I'm hoping to have scheduling some coffee chats coming up in probably the middle to end of January and kind of walking through some of that information and looking for some community input and putting some committees together to really come together and identify what might be some direction that we would be recommending to the Board of Education. So the spring should be busy with some of that information and really hoping to utilize the input from our community as we look forward to planning for the next number of years here at Buckeye.
All right then, we'll move on to superintendent's recommendations.
Item A, final reading of the following policies. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education consider the policies listed below as presented. Copies of the complete policies are attached to board members' agendas as Appendix F. Policy 2413, career advising. Policy 2431, interscholastic athletics. Policy 1310, employment of the treasurer. Policy 1340, non-reemployment of the treasurer. Item B, out-of-state field trip. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve an out-of-state field trip for the Buckeye High School Ski Club to New York. The trip is scheduled for Friday, March 6, 2020. Students and advisors will leave the school at 6 a.m. and return around 11 p.m. There is no cost to the district. A copy of the field trip proposal is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix G. Item C, overnight field trip. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve an overnight field trip for the Buckeye High School wrestling team to a tournament in Findlay, Ohio. The trip is scheduled from Friday, December 6th to Saturday, December 7th, 2019. There is no cost to the district. A copy of the field trip proposal attached to board members' agendas as Appendix H. Item D, student activity group fees. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the activity fees for the following high school organizations: SAD, $10, and Huddle, $25. Item E, yearbook agreement. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the yearbook agreement with Johnston's Incorporated for the following school years: 2021, 2022, and 2023. A copy of the agreement is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix I. A complete copy of the agreement will be held in the Treasurer's office. Item F, event contracts. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the event contracts with MC DJ Services Incorporated for November 22nd, 2019 and March 20th, 2020 junior high dances. Copies of the contracts are attached to board members' agendas as Appendix J. Complete copies of the contracts will be held in the Treasurer's office. Item G, contract approval. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the production costume rental request form with Kansas City Costume Company for the March 12th through 14th, 2020 high school musical. A copy of the contract is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix K. A complete copy of the contract will be held in the Treasurer's office. Item H, agreements approval. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the speaking engagement agreements with the organization Because I Said I Would. A keynote speaker will present at both the high school and junior high school on Friday, November 22nd, 2019. A copy of each contract is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix L. Complete copies of the agreements will be held in the Treasurer's office. Item I, agreement with Medina ESC. recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve an amended agreement with the ESC of Medina County to increase the number of hours to a total of 70.5 hours for an American Sign Language interpreter. This agreement will be in effect for the fiscal year 2020. A copy of the service agreement is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix M. A complete copy of the agreement will be held in the treasurer's office. Item J, elementary HVAC. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education accept the state term schedule 800560 for the HVAC repairs and controls at the Buckeye Elementary Building for a total of $302,700.86. A copy of the state of Ohio Department of Administrative Services pricing schedule is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix N. A copy of the pricing schedule will be held in the treasurer's office. Item K, track resurfacing. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education accept the Association of Educational Purchasing Agencies cooperative purchasing pricing to resurface the Buckeye local schools track for a total of $200,196. A copy of the AEPA cooperative purchasing pricing proposal is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix O. A copy of the proposal will be held in the treasurer's office. Item L, approval to advertise for bids. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education allow the superintendent to advertise for bids for the replacement repair of the bus garage roof. Item M, revision of the 2021 school calendar. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the front of the 2021 school calendar as submitted. A copy of the calendar is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix P. And item N, elementary heater installation. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve Bay Mechanical to install 2 heaters and 111 mechanical control valves at Buckeye Elementary for a total cost of $15,190. A copy of the bid sheet and quotes are attached to board members' agendas as Appendix S. A copy of the bid sheets and quotes will be held in the treasurer's office. And I would just want to add the revision of the school calendar as regards to a furlough day, which is July 6th. That is not going to interfere with any of our school activities, but it will be considered a non-work day for our 260-day employees.
Thank you. A motion on these items, please?
So,
Second? Any questions or comments on any of these items? Roll call?
Spargo,
Yes.
Stone,
yes.
Manson,
Yes.
Shavarchi,
Yes.
Yes. And new business?
Item A, first reading of the following policies. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education consider the policies listed below as presented. Copies of the complete policies are attached to board members' agendas as Appendix Q. Number 1, Policy 5113.02, School Choice Options. Policy 5200, Attendance. Policy 5230, Late Arrival and Early Dismissal. Policy 5350, Student Mental Health and Suicide Prevention. Policy 5430, Class Rank. Policy 5460, Graduation Requirements. Policy 7300, Disposition of Real Property, Personal Property. Policy 7440.03, Small Unmanned Aircraft Systems. Policy 8400, School Safety. Policy 8403, School Resource Officer. Policy 8462, Student Abuse and Neglect. And Policy 8500, Food Services.
All right, thank you. Personnel items.
Item A, certified personnel. Recommend Buckeye Board of Education approve the following certified personnel items as presented. Number 1, family medical leave of absence. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve a family medical leave of absence for Candace Zablotny, Intermediate Guidance Counselor, beginning January 29th, 2020. Her approximate return to work date is April 28th, 2020. Item B, certified substitutes. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the attached list of certified substitutes tutors recommended for the ESC of Medina County to work on an as-needed basis for the 1920 school year. Copy of the list is attached to board members' agendas as Appendix R. Classified personnel. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education include the following certified personnel items as presented. Number 1, resignation. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education accept the resignation of Kim Lewandowski, paraprofessional playground aide at Buckeye Elementary, effective October 30th, 2019. Item 2, approval of training. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve Monique Hendricks to attend crisis prevention training during the fiscal year 20 school year. She'll be paid at her negotiated contracted rate. Item 3, employment. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve to hire Yulia Shevchenko, paraprofessional playground aide, effective November 25th, 2019. Ms. Shevchenko will be awarded a 1-year limited contract and will be paid according to the negotiated agreement. Item 4, employment. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve to hire Sarah Mall, paraprofessional playground aide effective November 25th, 2019. Ms. Moll will be awarded a one-year limited contract and paid according to the negotiated agreement. Item 5, employment. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve to hire Brian Hall, bus driver, effective November 25th, 2019. Mr. Hall will be awarded a one-year limited contract and will be paid according to the negotiated agreement. Number 6, resignation. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education accept the resignation of Kevin Capella, bus driver, effective November 22nd, 2019. Item 7, amended FMLA. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education accept the request from Gregory Pollock, Director of Operations, to extend his FMLA return date to December 20th, 2019. Mr. Pollock's original request had listed the date of return as November 18th, 2019. Classified substitutes. Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education approve the attached list of classified substitutes to work on an as-needed basis for the 2019-20 school year as presented. Item E, supplemental contract approval. Recommend that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the following supplemental contracts pending certifications as well as resignations effective for the 19-20 school year as listed.
All right. We have a motion on the personnel items.
Motion.
Second? Second. Any questions or comments on the personnel items? Roll call, Stahl?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
Spargo?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes. And donations.
Recommend the Buckeye Board of Education accept and recognize the following donations to Buckeye local schools as presented. Item A, a donation of one shipment of various office school supplies valued at $6,161 to Buckeye Primary from NAEIR on behalf of the 3M Gives Supplies for Schools program. Item B, a donation of $180 from an anonymous donor for the purchasing of food service staff uniforms. Item C, generous public donations from various Buckeye school events totaling $220.18 to purchase supplies for Blanket Buddies. Item D, a donation of $279.30 from a community member to support selected outstanding lunch charges at the primary and intermediate buildings. And item E, thank you to a New Image Landscape Incorporated for their donated work around the stadium in preparation of our home football playoff game.
A motion, please.
Motion.
Second? Any comments? Roll call.
Mattson?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Spargo?
Yes.
Bowman?
Yes. Board comments?
And I'm sorry to do this, but I'd like to go back in the agenda, way back up to the treasurer's report and the tax, tax rate. I'm a little confused as to, when I'm sitting here totaling them up, they don't come up to the 60.7. And when I pull it up on my appendix, it would be listed as 65, including inside and outside.
Let me see what you wrote there. It is 4.3 would be inside and outside. So you, outside millage is what's listed, it doesn't say it's a limit.
Well, the breakdown of the agenda has the inside and outside.
Yeah, it's just outside, it's not the 4.3, so we can strike that because that's not changing anything.
Right. So,
And that's a great catch.
thank you. So we don't need to change anything.
No, I'm just gonna strike 3.3, because that's how you're gonna close it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Any other board comments here tonight?
Happy Thanksgiving.
I would like to thank the staff members that went to the Ohio School Boards Association and had such a great presentation. And I know that was a little bit extra for for them to go to and do that. But those of us on school board, I know the attendance wasn't that great at your session, but it was very good to hear the information.
It was the best session ever, thank you. And the superintendent should let us stay around.
Any other board comments? We do have a need for executive session. Let's see, I'll go back here for the purpose of employment. Do we expect any action as a result of that? All right. So there will be no action after that. May I have a motion to go into executive session? Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Stahl?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
Savarchi? Barko?
Yes.
Yes. And we will be including Mr. Banaga, our newly elected future board member in that session. All right, thank you, folks.